Okay, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to get an MMD avatar made for Miku Miku Dance and turn that into an avatar made for VRChat. You'll need 5 things. You'll need the latest version of Blender. You'll need this specific version of Unity. You'll need something called Cat's plugin for Blender. You'll need the VRChat SDK that you can get from VRChat.net. And you'll need some Unity shaders that are intended for VR use. And I will be showing you to get cube paradox shaders. So first you want to download all of that. You can get Blender from blender.org and just download and install it here. For the SDK as well as the version of Unity that you need, go to vrchat.net, log in. And then once you're logged in, you can go to download, and here's your link for the latest version of Unity as well as the SDK that you need. For the SDK, you just need to download it, just leave it zipped for later. For Unity, you want to download it here and install that as well. Now for Cat's plugin for Blender, just Google Cat's plugin for Blender. It's this first link here on GitHub, and you can download it just by scrolling down, and it's right here. Again, you don't need to install that, just leave it as the zip. For the shaders, just Google cubed paradox shaders. Again, it's the first GitHub link. And if you scroll down somewhere right here, and then cubed Unity shaders, you want this one right here. And again, don't install it, just download it. So the only two you want to install are Blender and Unity. Just leave everything else downloaded. Once you've installed Blender, open it up. If you've never used Blender before, there's a few one-time things you need to do. This splash screen is kind of annoying. Just clicks anywhere to get rid of it. Blender puts a few default things in the scene. I'll show you how you get rid of them permanently. Just hit A on the keyboard, the letter A. That will select nothing. Hit it again and it will select everything. Then the letter X for delete. And then click the mouse on this delete to delete everything. And then you can do Control U, the letter U. Save startup file, and again click this. Now whenever you open Blender, that stuff won't be there. So the first thing we want to do is install the Cat's plugin for Blender. To do that, go to File, User Preferences, Install Add-on from File, and you want to go to where you downloaded it. Right here, the zip file that you downloaded. So click that, and then click Add-on, Install Add-on from File. Once it's done loading, you want to make sure this little checkbox here is checked. Once it is, you should see cats on the side here will have appeared, which means it's fine. So close this out, and from here on out, everything we do in Blender is going to be in this little cats tab here. So this is made specifically for what we're doing, turning MMD models into VRChat models. So first we need an actual MMD avatar, so I'm going to go on the internet and I'm going to download one off of DeviantArt. Make sure you respect people's wishes. If they say don't upload an avatar to VRChat, don't. So just make sure that the author, is okay with what you're doing. Once you have the avatar downloaded, extract it, and you want to make sure it has a PMX file. It does right here. Okay, so we're going to import this into Blender by clicking Import Model, going to the directory of where you downloaded it, clicking the PMX file, and Import Model. So there's a few things we want to do to this model to convert it. First, hit this wrench menu. I personally uncheck Combine Same Materials, and I check Apply Full Body Tracking Fix. If you have people with full body tracking, they'll thank you. Once those are set up, you just click Fix Model. Okay, there's a few things we want to do on this model. One, all of its animations. If I right click this mesh here and I go to the Shape Keys tab, you can see it's all in Japanese, so we want to translate that. So Model Options, Translate All. Now it's in English. I want to add eye tracking and mouth movements for my avatar. So I will scroll down here, there's eye tracking. And it wants to know the head mesh and the eye mesh. It also wants to know, which shape keys are the shape keys are basically Blender animations of sorts. I want to change this from wink to blink, and for the other eye I'll leave it blank. That way it's just one animation for both eyes instead of two animations for each eye. For eye movement range, that's how far the eye is going to turn. I just leave this stuff at defaults and I click create eye tracking. If we want, we can test the eye tracking to see if it worked by using these sliders. See, it'll look up and down, and this one looks left and right. Good enough for me. You can test if the blinking works. It does. And when you're done, stop eye testing. Next, we want to do visemes, which is mouth movements for when you talk. You use voice chat and VRChat. It has 3 different sounds, ah, oh, and ch. It found them automatically because it was the name they expected, but if they're not there, you can just click on it and find the one that matches. Again, shape, key, intensity, I leave that as default and just click create visemes. Okay. Next, you want to make sure that your model has enough verts, or at least it has little verts, because VRChat has a maximum of 20,000 polygons for an avatar. If it has more than that, you're going to have to reduce it. This avatar has 18,000, so we're good to go. If it did have more, you would have to reduce it, and I can do that in a different tutorial. You also may want to reduce the material count on your avatar. If you do that, you can go to Optimization, Atlas, and Generate Material List, and it will show you a list of every texture that's on your avatar, because MMD models, it can go sort of overkill with how many models it has. But for this tutorial, I'm not going to do that, but do keep that in mind. So next, we're just going to export our avatar. We have eye tracking and we have mouth movements. That's usually good enough. So export model, it's warning us that we have too many materials. Again, that's something you'll want to look into, but for this tutorial, I'm just going to skip it. So continue to export. And you want to make sure you save it in the same exact file that you imported it from. So you want to save this FBX file that you're exporting. You want to make sure you save it right next to the PMX file that you imported. So just make sure it's the same directory. Otherwise, it'll break the relative directory of your textures, and then that's one extra thing you'll have to fix in Unity. So just make sure you save it side by side. That way you won't have to reapply the textures in Unity. Now we're done in Blender. I'm just going to save this as a Blender project in case I ever wanted to come back to it. But otherwise, we are done with Blender. So next comes Unity. So if you've installed Unity, open it up, and we're going to create a new project. We're going to give it a name. So here's a blank project in Unity. The first thing you're going to want to do is import that VRChat SDK you downloaded. You do that by Assets, Import Package, Custom Package, and you pick your VRChat SDK right here. This will usually take some time, so feel free to skip ahead in the video. Once this appears, just click Import, and it will take a few minutes. Okay, so when the VRChat SDK is done importing, you should have an extra menu up here that says VRChat SDK, and that's how you'll know that it worked correctly. Once it's imported, it'll usually take a few more moments to stabilize. Right now it's still loading. So just give it a minute. Eventually it will stop loading and become responsive again. Okay, so next we want our shaders. So again, you go to Assets, Import Package, Custom Package, and you pick your shader Unity package that you downloaded right here. And again, import. This wouldn't take as long. This one's a lot shorter. Okay, finally we want to import the avatar we downloaded. So we go to the directory that we saved our FBX in, and we want to import everything except for the PMX file. But import everything else. Besides the .pmx, just select them all and drag them into Unity. Okay, so our model is right here, so we can drag that into the scene. If we go up here to Inspector tab, we can edit stuff, so make sure you're selecting the top level avatar here, and we will set it to the origin of 0, 0, 0. And next we're going to want to fix these shaders up, so go into the Materials tab, select everything, Control A, and we're going to change our shader to Cubed Paradox Flatlit Toon Light. let's see, in my case it looks like there's a few materials I don't want. So I'm going to click body right here. That's the mesh. And I think this one and this one, I think I'm going to change these to cutout. Just because I don't want this, I'm just going to alpha fade it into oblivion. Probably this one as well, because I don't want them. And you could always put these back with animations if you wanted them, but that's for a different time. Okay, so now our shaders look okay. Next we want to tell VRChat that this is an avatar. So on the top level of your avatar right here, we're going to add a component, and we're going to type in avatar. It will find something called VRC avatar descriptor. Click that to add it, and this has a few parameters. You can choose whether you want a male or female animation set. We want lip sync. We want our Viseme lip sync, so change it from default to Viseme. It wants to know where the animations are located. They're located in our body mesh. And from here we want to match all of these mouth movements. So if it says just match them all. So Sil is VRChat Sil. Whoops, I messed it up there. And this is just time consuming, but just pick each one, make sure it matches. If it says TH, pick the TH, you know. And these are all the different sounds for our avatar. As you talk on the mic, it will try and match the lip movements for each sound. My mouse is messing up. Okay, and next there's this view position XYZ, and that's this little ball here. So I'm going to click this to go in flat side view. There. So this little ball is where our camera will be in first person. So we want to put this ball in between the eyes. So you have to fiddle with these axes a little. Y is up and down, so we can move that down. And Z is forward and backward, so we'll move that in. So that's good enough. Okay, so what's next? Okay, next we want to make sure our bones are set correctly. So click on the top level, select, and then under rig, change animation type from generic to humanoid, and click apply. And then we're good. Click just to double check. We'll configure it. It wants to ask if we'll save. Sure, we'll save. And then from here you want to make sure all of these bones are set to what they look correct. So if it says hips, you want to make sure it's hips, spine, spine, chest, chest. Just make sure all of this looks reasonably right. Toes, if it come in as toes, I would just click the little circle next to toes and set it to none, just because toe bones can give you problems sometimes. And then make sure you check each component. For head, make sure you don't have a jaw. So if it's set anything to jaw, click the circle and then none. Because we aren't using bone jaws, we're using shape keys for talking, so we don't want both. And the hands look fine. Okay, so then you can click apply, and then done. So if you want a profile picture, go on the internet or draw, you know, you respect copyright, get a picture and drag it into your project. Then in the scene, right-click, 3D object, plane, put the texture on the plane. Might need to fix the aspect ratio a bit, so rotate this by 90. We can set the shader to unlit texture so it's nice and bright. Fix the aspect ratio a little bit. Good. And make sure this profile picture is not inside of the avatar, like this, because then when you upload your avatar, you'll have a giant, you know, rectangle floating next to you at all times. So just make sure the plane is not inside the avatar, because when we upload this, it's going to upload everything, you know, inside of this. So just make sure your other stuff is outside. Okay, so now we're ready to upload. You can log in by going to VRChat SDK settings and logging in with your VRChat account. And then VRChat SDK show build control panel. And if all went well, you should have no red warnings. Yellow ones are fine. It's warning me that my polygon count is a little bit too high, but it's fine. And then build and publish. So you'll want to give it a name. And you want to agree to their terms and service. If you want the avatar public or private, you can choose it here. For a custom image for your picture of the avatar, you can go back to the Scene tab and click on VRChat Camera and Position Tool. And you want to move this over to your profile picture, and you want to position it how you want it to look. That looks good. And then you can go back to the Game tab, and here you have your picture here as if you had it uploaded. And then once everything's set, you can just click Upload, and then that will put that in your VRChat inventory. So if you scroll to the bottom of your avatars, you'll have a category that says Mine, and then it will be everything you've uploaded. And then that's it. Once this is done, you can log in VRChat, or if you're already logged in, you can just refresh the avatar page and you should see it there. So thanks for watching.